Hey everybody, in this video we're focused on supply and demand, especially the idea that prices coordinate economic activity. Now I want you to understand, guys, that in this video we are going to be focusing on the positives of markets, okay? That's right, the dynamics of markets that are positive, that we like, that, create outcomes that we think are fairly beneficial for society. Now, I want you to understand that we here at Econ Busters, we understand that there are problems with markets. There are downsides to markets. You could even say some markets, definitely some big negative effects. We have market failures out there. We have all kinds of videos focused on why we might want government intervention to improve market outcomes of many different markets that are out there. But we need to understand, again, the positives of markets. We need to understand why every developed country in the world has what we call a market-based economy. Not necessarily a free market economy, but a market-based economy. That at the base of their economy are markets, that markets are coordinating economic activity for the majority of their goods and services. And so why do every single one of those developed countries have markets at the base? That's what we want to be able to focus on in this video, is to remind us, that's the positives of markets. And that one of the big positives, again, is that prices coordinate economic activity. Now, in this video, we're going to be focused on the ride-sharing market. The market for Uber and Lyft. And the reason is in their business plan, in their software, in their programming, they allow for flexible prices to flex, to clear the market. And that's a really important thing to get all the benefits of markets, is to have flexible prices so that you do not have long-term shortages or surpluses. So let's get to it. Let's go ahead and label our graph, okay? So we start off with, this is our demand curve, and it's so important to understand that our demand curve is our marginal private benefit curve. We have a saying here at Econ Busters, and we say it a lot in our videos, and it's this: demand is actually a bunch of dots, and those dots sit above goods. That's right. So I want you to think of this curve right here as being made up of a bunch of dots. Each dot sits above a good or a service, okay? In this case, it's a service, okay? So those dots sit above a good or a service, and the vertical distance between that good or service and that dot is the benefit somebody gets from that good, okay? Now, we've got the supply curve, and this is the marginal private cost curve, okay? Suppliers are, the supply curve is also a bunch of dots. That's right, the supply curve is actually a bunch of dots. And those dots sit above goods or services also. And the vertical distance between the good and between the good or service and the dot is the cost of supplying that thing. That's right. The vertical distance between the good and the dot that makes up the supply curve is the cost of supplying that good or service. Let's go back to demand again, just to remind us, right? The vertical distance between the good or service and the dot is the benefit a consumer would receive from the good. Okay, so ride-sharing market, let's set this scenario up a little bit. We're in New York City, let's say. It's November, 7 p.m., Tuesday, okay? You've got people leaving work, maybe people heading to a happy hour, maybe people leaving a happy hour or early dinner, other people thinking about leaving their house to go out to dinner or to see friends, okay? So a decent amount of activity. And the weather is just fine. And the market is clearing, okay? The price is right here, making it so the quantity supplied equals the quantity demanded, right? The price equilibrium is also known as the market clearing price, okay? It's the price at which the market clears. And what is a clearing market? That is a situation, again, that the quantity supplied equals the quantity demanded. Quantity equilibrium, QS equals quantity demand. There's no shortage, there's no surplus. Guys, if you want to get a ride in a Uber or Lyft, you're gonna be able to find an Uber or a Lyft. But things change. We get a shock to the market. We get a rainstorm come in. Now again, it's November, it's kind of cold outside, and now you've got this rain come in. Now, what we're gonna see is this is mainly gonna affect demand. We could argue that it might have some marginal effect on supply, but it's mainly going to affect demand, okay? And so we're going to shift the demand curve right. And the reason we're going to shift the demand curve right is the benefit each of these rides give people is going up, right? Remember, just pick any one of these goods or services, which is a ride in this particular case. This is the vertical distance, this is the benefit, or was the benefit. But when that rainstorm comes in, that benefit goes up. That's right, the benefit goes up. That MPB curve actually shifts up, and when the benefit goes up, the demand curve shifts right. And what we mean by the demand curve shifting right is we will now demand more or see a larger demand at every single price point. More will be demanded. The quantity demanded will increase at every single price point. So let's go ahead and show that, okay? So there is our curve shifting right, at least if you're referring to it as a demand curve. The demand curve just shifted right. And again, you actually would say the MPB curve shifted up. Again, if the benefit of each ride goes up, demand shifts to the right. So go ahead and put my MPB right there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of a part of this. So we focus on the new demand curve because this demand curve no longer exists. I want to leave a little remnant of it so that we can always see where it was, but it no longer exists. Now, what is the situation? What is the computer program or the software going to pick up on? That this is now just the quantity supplied. Remember, this demand curve is gone. I'm hitting the supply curve right there. That's my quantity supplied. This distance at that original price right there is going to be the quantity demanded. Let's say that again. Quantity supplied, quantity demanded. We now have a shortage, okay? We've got a shortage out there. So what is going to happen? Well, the program is going to detect this shortage, and it's going to do what we call surge pricing because there was a surge in demand, so it's going to allow price to go up. So price is going to begin to go up, and that price is going to continue to go up until it gets to this new price, okay, price equilibrium. We'll just kind of write new right there, until it gets to that new price right there. Now, here is the interesting thing. Let's focus first on the response from supply. You're going to get this increase in the quantity supplied, okay? Now, remember what we said about this being a bunch of dots, and the vertical distance between the good and the dot is the cost of providing the service. So here is the deal. For the dots representing, or all the dots that make up this portion of the supply curve, there's people behind those dots that are already providing ride sharing services. They're already on the streets. The rainstorm came, but they were already out there providing it, okay? But now when the rainstorm came, it actually pulled in new entrants into the market. It got new supply to come onto the market. And here is the deal. People represented by these dots, they didn't go grab their keys and get out on the streets, okay? Why? Because their cost was even higher. It was higher than what that price was. It's only these people that were still lower cost. It's pulling in more supply, but only the lower cost suppliers were remaining what economists call productively efficient because only the lower cost ones are coming in. Now again, these even have lower costs and they're already on the market, pulls in new entrants. They have lower costs than these people. Because again, remember what I said, for every single good that's down here, and there's a ton of goods down here, you take that vertical distance, that's the cost. Over here for this one, that would be the cost. So let's just make it real for a second. Somebody that might be represented, say, by that dot, they were at home watching TV. They didn't really want to do it. They're kind of enjoying watching TV. But then that rainstorm comes in, they see the surge prices, they're like, all right, grab my keys, I'm gonna head out on the road. Somebody over here might be out with some friends or something like that. They see the surge pricing, well, I'm not gonna leave my friends, I'm gonna stay with my friends. I'd rather just stay with my friends, okay? That's the type of situation that's going on here. So we get that increased quantity supplied, which we of course want, okay? Now, yes, demand shifted to the right, but after demand shifts to the right, you get a shortage at original prices, and then the price goes up, and you actually do get a decrease in the quantity demanded. Now, don't get me wrong, it was an increase in demand and just a little drawback in the quantity demanded. But again, the demand curve is made up of a bunch of dots, and so I'm just kind of putting in a bunch of dots right here, just so we kind of, really take in that point. And these people are now leaving the market. They're no longer going to ask for Uber or Lyft to come pick them up. Now, who are they? They're people who value the Uber and Lyft ride. Again, vertical distance. There's the vertical distance. Less than the people represented by these dots. These people value the Uber or Lyft ride even more. So who might these people be? These people that are getting, quote, rationed out of the market, because that's what price does. It's a rationing function, and it's rationing them out of the market. Who might they be? They could be somebody that lives, 4 blocks away from home. And they're like, it's raining. I'm just going to walk the 4 blocks because they were going to get a ride at this price, but because the price went up, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to walk home. I'll take a hot shower when I get home. Or maybe one of these people is like, hey, the subway's just 2 blocks away. I know I'm going to get a little bit left. Remember, they wanted an Uber or Lyft at this old price, but at this new price, they're getting rationed out. All right, it's 2 blocks away. I guess I'll go ahead and walk it to the subway, get a little bit wet, but I should be home somewhat quickly. People over here, they live further from home maybe, or further from the subway or whatever. They don't have their umbrella. Whatever the situation is, they value the Uber or Lyft ride more. That's what's so important to understand. They stay in the market. They're rationed out of the market. At this new price equilibrium, the market is now going to clear. Quantity equilibrium. Now, again, as we talked about on the supply side, we remain productively efficient. Why do we remain productively efficient? Because only the lower cost suppliers enter, the higher cost suppliers don't enter. On the demand side, we remain what we call distributively efficient. The good is going to continue to go to those who value it the most. That's right, distributive efficient. The good goes to those that value it the most. Who values it the most? The people that lie behind or sit behind these dots. The people for which these dots are representing their benefit that they're expecting to get from the good. These people are rationed out, but again, they value it less. Their benefit is less than, say, that person over there. We remain productively efficient and distributively efficient, with price still doing the rationing function on both the supply and the demand side. And again, as we've said, the quantity supplied is going to continue to equal the quantity demanded. We're not going to have shortages. Guys, if that price didn't surge, these new Uber and Lyft drivers would not have even gotten on the road, and these demanders wouldn't have been rationed out, so you would have had a shortage. You would have ended up getting some of these people actually getting a car, okay? Because it would just be like who asked for one first. They would actually get some, and some of these people would not have gotten it if that price did not surge, because again, if that price didn't surge, we would have been left with a shortage. Economists like it when markets clear. They don't like long-term shortages. You know what it means when you have a long-term shortage? No matter how bad you want the good, you're not going to be able to get it. But when that market clears, and that's what it's going to eventually do, that means if you want that good, you're going to be able to get that good. This is prices coordinating economic activity. Price flexibility is key. We want, generally speaking, for markets to clear, to be able to handle shocks, coordinate our economic actors in a productively efficient and distributively efficient manner. Again, this has been the positives of markets, the dynamics of markets that we really like. Again, there's definitely some issues with markets, and we have other videos for that. But we want to understand why so many countries in the world go with a market-based economy. What is those dynamics of markets that are so kind of neat and that we want to recognize the positives of? I hope that made sense to you. We'll see you in the next video.